Okay, there we go. Welcome back. This is a the next iteration of a series of recordings and live stream, live streamed live coding sessions, rewriting Facebook Demetricator as part of Software for Less at Arbeit Gallery in London. I'm currently in Urbana, Illinois, where in my home studio. I guess I'm thinking I could maybe turn that a little bit too. Things have drifted a bit since my last. Here, let's see. Yeah, we'll try that. Something along those lines, anyway. Not that seeing me is really that, excuse me, that important for this. So what I want to focus on in this session today is a couple of things. One is just moving forward with the coding I was doing last time, and I think for the most part that's going to focus on tracking metrics on the user's profile page. So on here. So I'm gonna try that, number one. I mean, that's the thing I'm probably gonna spend the most time doing today, is working my way through this. I haven't done a whole lot on this page yet. It's been mostly timeline, newsfeed. And frankly, this is kind of a satisfying page. Newsfeed can get really frustrating. I mean, I'd gotten a lot of the big stuff already, and now I was getting down to the slow, difficult items on the newsfeed. And so they were frustrating to do and hard to illustrate what I was, some of the techniques. And yeah, so I moved to this page, and this is an easy. I mean, I'm back to easy things, relatively easy things. So it can be somewhat satisfying to do things here, and also just to refresh, if in case you haven't seen a previous episode. Right now, I'm just writing all the detectors for where all the metrics appear, so that I can then search and remove metrics as they occur. So you can see here's a couple of different items, one outlined in cyan, one outlined in red by the code that I've written here on the right. And this is just helping me visualize that things that need to be addressed have been detected, and then I will address them. In some cases, you can see I'm already hiding metrics, such as up here or over here. But for the most part, I'm not hiding them yet. I'm just detecting them. But the second thing I want to do, and the thing I'm going to start with on this session, is I want to just briefly talk about this article that came out a couple days ago, 2 days ago, at the markup. And if you don't know the markup is I don't know how they describe themselves. I mean, I think of it as a investigative journalism outfit, but one that is extremely savvy in data detection, manipulation. They write a lot of browser extensions. They've been doing a lot of work on Facebook. It's just amazing. I sometimes lately I think about it. It's kind of, they're doing on the journalism side some of the things that some things I do on the artistic side, on the art side. Often looking at the same subjects, coming at them differently, but utilizing some similar techniques. So I feel some affinity with them, and they're great people at the markup. and you should watch them if you haven't been. But this article that came out a couple days ago was just looking at the way in which, under the hood, some of the HTML is Facebook has been increasingly obfuscating and really like inserting junk in the HTML in deliberate attempts to thwart actions by academics, activists, and artists, and journalists. And so this is an article about that. And the truth is that I have seen this for 10 years. I've been watching this for 10 years. 10 years ago, when I would go and look at Facebook under the hood and look at the code of Facebook that's delivered to the browser, that the browser then renders and turns into what you think of as Facebook visually, it was quite readable code. I mean, it was readable code. The first version of Facebook Demetricator, 10 years, I started writing in 2011, was the query. Now, I didn't have all the techniques figured out back then. I was figuring them out as I went, but the kinds of queries that I was doing in order to detect metrics sometimes are really simple. I mean, they might have had a class, I mean, not might have, sometimes they would have a class name of count, C-O-U-N-T. It couldn't get much easier than that, folks. I can write that query and capture all kinds of things right away, and I did. Over time, it's gotten worse and worse and worse, such that it's mind numbing. Like sometimes you'll see. I'll show you some of this. So anyway, I thought it'd be good, since this is right in the news right now, and of course there's so much news about Facebook happening right now. In fact, maybe I should go ahead and tweet out that I'm working on this, in case anybody there wants to join as well. But there's been so much news around Facebook, with the Facebook files out of the Wall Street Journal and a variety of other outlets and journalists. Just looking for it. Well, maybe I'll come back to that. But the point is, it seems like a good time to focus on this. And so I thought I would start by highlighting, or at least as I go, I could literally point out some of these moments in the code and show you. And quite frankly, there's a great one right here. This is a classic. You can see how there's all this blue. It looks kind of fragmented. And see if I can get it back there. Yeah. Here's another example. You can see all this blue. And in this case, this is not something I need to change. I don't alter literal timestamps. I only alter age metrics. So, are there going to be any on the feed here? Or are they only on the news feed now? Well, here's an age metric, 2 weeks, 2W. But if we go to news feed, there should be some there. Yeah, see, 9H. So that's an age metric. I've successfully captured the 9, so that looks all right. But let's go ahead and take a look at the code. Let's see if this one is kind of in a reasonable state or not. Yeah, this one's actually, well, we're not there yet. There it is. Yeah, this is it. Okay. So just take a look at this. This string right here, the words 10H, 10H, right? I would ideally, and I have somehow, I don't know exactly what I've captured here with the code. I did this a while back, but ideally in the code there would be a 10 and maybe a span and then an H as the adder, or maybe they would just put it all together and I have to parse it apart. Fine, but if I look at the structure of this, like let's go here. Let's try and find the element that contains. So this contains that element. Okay, but that's got also the privacy icon and the bullet. So let's go a little further. We go down to this span. Okay, that's the 10H. Should be in here. Look inside that span. Okay, here's a span. It's got an A. Okay, so the A must have the 10H. So it's a link. Fine. It's usually these function as the permalink, so that's no big deal. It's got a span, which has a span. Okay, go look in that span. That span has a before, whatever. It's got a 1. Where's the 0? Let's go look. Well, is it here? No. Look. See, here's that 1 right here. But if I go down to the next span, look at where it's moving. Like, watch over here as I kind of... Here's the 1. Now it's like way down below. And then the next span is somewhere down there. And then the next span, we're out of it. Don't know what any of these spans are doing it. In fact, you can see there's an SPO. This is like all the stuff they use for trying to block people who are trying to block ads. And it's gotten wrapped up in this area of the interface. So I don't even know where the 0 is. Here's a T. What's the T? It's some hidden character. It's just there to deflect. All of this structure, all this crap, as deep as it goes. This is all, here's the 0 finally. Okay. But this is all about just trying to make things difficult for people. And this probably changes all the time. It's going to be a nightmare for me to deal with. So, like, somehow I have to find a way to get, when I eventually do this, I'm going to find a way to get to this 1, and then to get to wherever that 0 went. I don't even know where it is. Is it down here? No. No. I don't even know where it went. It's going to be a total nightmare. Honestly, I'm going to end up just tossing this whole, hiding this whole chunk probably, and just replacing it. But it's really, this is, it's not just, it's not literally that complicated to parse, but it is super time consuming and just a pain in the butt to make this work, to find some way to make this work. And they're likely to change it. And this is like all this markup. None of this is being used for the user. None of it is necessary. It's all just about throwing chaff up in front of us, those of us who are doing this kind of work. Interestingly enough, it's not that different of a technique as things that I've resorted to in some of my work, obfuscation techniques, like with my Go Rando project, which is also at the exhibition in London. But it's interesting to watch Facebook doing it. Another thing that's talked about in the article at the markup is that they have been misusing ARIA tags as part of this process. And I have certainly seen some problems around those myself, and we'll see if we run into one. I'll look for them as we kind of move through. The ARIA tags are the accessibility tags, or defined. Some of them are defined at least with ARIA dash, and they contain text that gets, so here's ARIA hidden equals true. It's, a lot of cases what it's doing is it's telling a screen reader things about the page. So this might be telling the screen reader, don't read this bullet, which makes sense. There's no reason to read the bullet if a screen reader is reading the page. But I have seen them, I mean, a couple of things about ARIA tags. One is that ARIA tags have become one of the only useful bits of information in any of this structure at all. Because if you look at what's on the screen now, all of this stuff, this is what most of Facebook now looks like. I mean, look at this. It's all machine generated. This is how most of this occurs. And they've developed the software, which has now become the de facto web interface development, library, called React. And so a lot of sites use this. Twitter does too, although Twitter's isn't nearly as hard to read as Facebook's, and it's just a lot more logical than Facebook's. And so even though it's a pain, it's not nearly as difficult for me to write Twitter Demetricator as it is Facebook Demetricator at this point in time. So I have seen them, even though those have been useful for a long time now, I've seen them, I see the ARIA, I see the accessibility features break all the time. I've been keying off accessibility features for a while, and I've been in touch with Facebook's accessibility team multiple occasions. I've tweeted at them, I've written them letters, I've done formal bug reports, a lot of things, and I have gotten some responses over time, but they never would fix anything. They would just let basic functionality of the interface languish, not working for months or a year or longer. And that, for me anyway, has been really frustrating at times, because it, well, as you might imagine, if I need to key off the accessibility features and they break and they aren't willing to fix them, my things can stay broken, or I have to rewrite and find a completely different path to do what I want, which is sometimes what I've done. Sorry, I'm just looking for something I can use as a coaster here. Okay, sorry about all that. Okay, so let's go back to my profile. And let's just get back into it. So I'm just going to start scrolling down. I think if I go a little bigger, yeah, so I've got this friends metric, for example. So that's being caught. But here's the next one, the following metric. So I look at it, I inspect. And this one you can see it's not all split up into different structure. It's just 352 people. So I just have to find a query that will detect this, and then later I will use I'll choose, in general, end up choosing one of a few different functions that I will write new here, but that I've written versions of many times in the past. And this one would be stripping out a leading metric, so a bit of text in which the metric of interest is at the beginning. It's a common pattern on Facebook, right? 8 people like this, or 3 comments, or 9 hours. There's a number at the front. So that's what we're going for. So I just need to look at the structure now and see what I can find. Don't need all this stuff. Yeah, I'll get rid of that. And, I will just say, based on, kind of like picking back up where I was before, look at the class names. These are the class names here. Class equals quote, and then all these strings quote. This is whatever it is. It's like 20 different classes, CSS classes applied to this link. It's not very useful. Mostly because these class names are going to be used on all kinds of things all over the place. It's nothing unique to this particular set. I mean, it may be if I were to say A with all of these classes that I would get this link and only this link. It's doubtful given my experience, but it's possible. So what I do is I scan up to higher up in the tree here, looking for anything human readable or anything unusual. I'm not finding much, let me tell you. There's a UL, at least that's something. I just need to narrow. Okay, well that's machine generated. I can't necessarily know for sure. It's always going to be _0, although it might be profile tiles feed, maybe. Mm. There's not much here, right? Looking for anything we can use. I guess that might be the best. This also has at least a single class name, which might be usable. Let me get some jQuery I can use. Just that there in case I need it later. So I'll say, do a little query writing here, and we'll say sjgh65i0. Need a class, need a dot here. And we'll just see how many there are, and there's 12. So this particular class name, there are 12 items that have this class name associated with it. So it's not unique at all to this particular content on this page. Here's another individual one. I could try that. Kind of doubt it, but four of those. If it was one, I'd feel like we had something useful. I could see if there are these containing ULs, if that's a common pattern. Ah, so that at least got us closer. Go back to, just make sure I don't miss anything here. Okay, so that's a candidate. I could basically say, give me any divs that have this class name that also contain a UL. And that it seems to have narrowed things down. It may even be that if I'd done that with the other, this one, nope, that doesn't narrow it down enough. So this one does narrow it down. Might be worth using. I don't know. I think this profile tiles feed _0 has me thinking. I'm going to reload the page and see if that still persists. So profile tiles feed. And reloading is always a little bit slower when you've got the console open, at least for me. Tiles. No, I want to do it up here. Tiles feed. So it is coming in with the same, but you can see that, okay, right, so there's multiples. There's like a 0 and a 1. I don't know what the 1 is going to be. Maybe that's these blocks. Yeah, I think it is. So this is probably profiles tile 3 or tiles feed n. Yeah, let's see. Yep. Yeah, I mean, these are not going to be very reliable. I can't always necessarily predict these data pagelet attribute values. So that makes me think that going back to what we were looking at before, which is, I think it was this one. There's the UL. Okay. So let's get my jQuery back in here. And then that's our query. So I'm going to say, now I need to find the right thing in the UL, which might be a bit of a trick on its own. They're all identical at this level. I probably can't predict its order or I mean its exact placement, because this is probably dependent. Like what shows up here is probably dependent on what you make public in your profile and even what you fill out in your profile info in the first place. So, that's kind of interesting, although maybe not useful. One thing I'm noticing, this class name looks fairly unique to this line, maybe? Yeah, this PFNY. That could be useful. I'll copy it while I see it. Oh, I see. This is just for the... oh, wait, where's the rest of the... Ah. Yeah, that might not be as useful as I hoped. Let's go look inside of here. Yeah, not seeing much I can play with here. This UL doesn't have any LIs. Why not, one might ask. You know, this followed by text is going to be useful, I guess. The metric's probably in here. Yeah, 352p right there. So really what I'm looking for is a span that has the text followed by. And I do notice this has a couple of class names. We could try these two. Let's see. So if I were to say a UL that has a div with these two class names, what's the length of that? That's 9 things. So it's probably every one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So everything's got that. Let's see if everything also then has a span after that. Even more of them do. What about a span with an A in it? There's it down to 4, which would probably be this and then these 3. I mean, you know, I could go this way. I don't know, this makes... Well, let's see what the text comes back on that span. If it says followed by. Oh, I see, right. I mean, it does, but... Yeah, I don't see a whole lot. And the truth is I probably... See, how many answers do we get here? We got... So that's 11. Wonder if it even matters if I do this. Let's get rid of these. I could just say div. Same number. Which means I might as well not use the class names because it just makes it a narrower choice. Div span dot length. So part of what I'm trying to decide now is, do I just run through all of them, all 11, and look for the followed by and just run with that and be done with it, or do I try to get a little more specific? And I think maybe we're just going to run with that and be done with it. So let me... I think I was using this last time just to write things in. Okay. So I think we're going to do something like... Another way I would like to narrow this down, if I could, would be to somehow detect that this is a profile page and only run this query if I'm on a profile page. We'll have to go back and look and see if they've left me any possible clues to that. They used to have a lot of great clues. High definition, drinking a glass, drinking water. So yeah, then I'm going to say let, similar to what I've done up here, really. So let text equal, get the text of the element if the text contains followed by. Then I want to probably say let link equal text.find a. And then I'll say if link.length, if we find one, just in case we don't, then we'll say link, can't type today, dot CSS border unpick solid. We'll just pick a color. All right, we'll try that. All right. I mentioned this in a previous episode, but I'm just using some wrapper code I got from someone named Ryan Moore. It's open source on GitHub. I've been using it for years now. It's just a nice wrapper on mutation observers, which I also talked about in a previous episode. So if you're interested, go back and look. So this didn't do what I was thinking. Let's do a little printing. So we'll print out the found text, maybe plus new line, and then if we get in here, we're going to we'll go ahead and print out link. Oh, I know what I did wrong. This should be E. Not trying to find the text of the object. We need to use the object. So I think that's probably the issue. But I'll go ahead and do the printing anyway, just in case. Now let's try that. May have to reload the page. We'll see. Yeah, I think I will. Paste. And nothing got printed. That is not. Oh, but it caught it. Maybe I am. There it is. Okay. Just wasn't showing the prints. So it successfully detected it and put that color. So success. We could now test this by putting it into the code itself, which is the next step. I don't need the prints in here, so I'm just going to get rid of them. Let's add a comment, which will be followed by XXX people. I'll say this is on the profile page. Let's see. I don't don't have great ordering in here yet. Let's see if I have profile stuff here at all. New profile page. That might be left over. Yeah, that's left over. So another thing that I've mentioned in a previous episode, that the text, the code I'm adapting here is kind of a new setup that I've used for Twitter. When I last rewrote Twitter Demetricator. Yeah, okay, here we're now into some Facebook related. So there's a bunch of commented out code here and junk that is running that shouldn't be. I need to go clean that up at some point. Probably drives somebody else crazy I'm doing it this way, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and make a section here for profile. I don't think, oh, I guess I did have some profile stuff here. At least this was. So now we can add this in. Okay. Now I'm going to reload. And if this goes well, we should now see the perp. Okay, so that's successful. Later I'd have to come in and hide just the 352. And I'll do that at another day. Another day. All right, next one. They used to have a metric here, as I recall, and how many photos you had. There'll be a ton if we click on the photos page, which will get its own whole treatment in Demetricator. But here's the next one we're looking for. Let's go see if we can find something useful about that. Now, I think it's going to be this thing. In fact, we may get a little lucky here. Let me try. This same query. Because if you remember from a few minutes ago, there was a bunch of these. And one of them, I believe, is going to be in this block. SEJ5W. Yeah, see, it's this thing right here. And then div. Let's go see if we can find a UL in here. We'll be lucky if there is. No. Not that lucky. Actually, let's see that. Okay, that's in here. So there's the span we're looking for. So we can't use. So this would get us in the ballpark. Well, actually, I'm not sure. Let's see. I don't think that's gonna, because there's no UL. So that's the thing. So probably what I'll end up doing is looking for all SEJ5WR8E divs. And then, well, if you've got one of those, now look for this branch, now look for this other set of things. For the moment, well, don't know if this makes the most sense or not. Hey, there's a viewer. Hi, viewer. Thank you for coming. You can listen to me talk to myself for a while, or chat to me if you want, and I will respond. Just trying to decide what to do. Where was that? Kind of lost that branch. Yeah, I mean, this is it's only the SEJ, I think, that was getting me there. So let's just look up this hierarchy. This one. Let's see if this is probably going to be kind of like each of the subsequent blocks. 12 of those. Just so we can see them, let's give them a border. All right, it's all blocks. It's all these side. Oh, actually, it's every element on the feed. Okay, that's not that helpful. What I want is these kind of metadata blocks, something that gives me that. So let's turn that border back off. Just out of curiosity, let's look for a div with that. Eleven of those. Let's highlight those. Does it go further? How's it getting 11? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wonder where the rest are. Strange. Let's dump the text out of them. Intro photos, see all photos, friends, see all friends. 2140 friends, interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's in the ballpark, right? We could say this span, just in case we get lucky. No such luck. Could try adding the dir attribute to this first one. No difference. Yeah, this is not very good. Could go for this class in front of it. So that's another div. Exactly the same. Well, yeah, there's just not much. Kind of funny how this got me. This less specific thing ended up being more useful. I don't really. Well, okay, I do kind of understand why. So I think I'm just going to have to do kind of what I did before, which is search for the word friends. So let's look at this again. Except this time we will use this different query. Basically this one. E, not text. I think that's what we're looking for. Don't. And, oh, it did work. It's just hard to see. Let's give it a better color. Where did that file go? Okay, we'll try that. And then this is not followed by, this is friends. Profile page. Really it's say profile page, side block, left hand side block, something like that. Get rid of that. Copy. And again, if you're just joining, all I'm working on right now is just getting some detectors in place so that the things that will need to be tracked and manipulated in the future are acquirable, detectable. And so, you know, these two different there's some things in common between these two. I could probably consolidate, but for now I'm not worried about that. Okay, so if this worked, then that 2140 friends should have a box around it. There. And I saw that right there too, how the moment, at least to my eyes, the moment that block, that friends block, this whole block filled in, like became visible, it came with this purple box around the value. So in other words, it's this code on the right here that I've got writing is running kind of after all this data has been retrieved from the server into the browser, but before the browser draws it to the screen, which is exactly where we want it. Okay, let's look for the next one. Sometimes you want to make the interface wider because they hide some things in some views. Yeah, this is another example of that extremely obfuscated text that the markup is writing about. Extremely obfuscated markup, HTML. actually not seeing much in the way of uncaught metrics now. I'll just try scrolling for a bit to see. It's actually looking pretty good. I click on things like this sometimes to make sure like the things that get dynamically loaded later are still detecting. Now here's a problem. I mean, it's not a huge problem, but you can see this white box and this other white box around the right reply. That is me catching something that does not need to be caught. No metrics in there. This is looking pretty good, to be honest. Still more work to do, but so let's try another profile kind of page, such as the photos page. See all photos. In the past, this has been one that would also give you some metrics up here. Thankfully, they're not, but we will see any rollover. Okay, rollovers aren't doing it. So that's good. And we've made a lot of changes. Nice. Okay. Don't really know what the purpose of having, I guess this is so I could edit any photo. Does it make sense to drop an icon on top of every photo? Like I can't even look at this without these icons? Doesn't make any sense. You'd think with $1 trillion that they'd have the best UI decisions. Not only the best UI decisions in terms of producing compulsed, addicted, induced subjects who are endless producers of the system, but also just the most pleasing interface that's logical. But $1 trillion, I guess, isn't enough for that. Maybe 2 trillion, 10 trillion, 100 trillion. I don't know. Just looking on this page to see. Okay, I'm not. Oh, yeah, here. All these items. All these item counts. So let's try one of those. This is definitely going to be one where it'd be nice to see if we can detect a way to see if we're on a photos page. So I'm not running this all the time. Yeah. So back in the day, not even that long ago now, 3 years ago, different sections of the Facebook website would result in at least some identifying class getting inserted up here into the body tag. You know, it might say profile, it might say newsfeed, it might say photos. Now, it's nothing. I mean, it's 4 classes. Let's go ahead and look at the home page, the news feed. It's ain't different though. I bet it's not. Yep, looks identical. 6S5D, 71PM, PN, KBSF. Yep, totally the same. This thing's not helpful, unfortunately. Nothing different in the HTML tag. So now I want to go into here and see if anything is kind of unique in this section. So probably want to go find that mount. Well, I want to find the body. And then this one. SSRB root start, which I think is the same. What's SSRB stand for? If anybody knows, let me know. probably figure it out, but sometimes I get curious because it's getting rarer and rarer that there's an acronym of any sort anywhere that has anything to do with human readability, but that sounds like something that might. Yeah, doesn't look like it's meaning much. All right. Let's put this one away. I don't remember which one is which now. I think this is the one we don't want. And this is the page we're looking at. And let's go inspect that again. So we're down here, and so we're back into that dance of kind of looking up in the hierarchy to try and see if there's anything useful we can find. The items is going to be at least something. But it'd be nice if we could find kind of the block. So it's probably going to be like this or this or this. That's awesome. Oh, that's still okay. So these are the kind of the upper level. So each of these is one of these blocks. Every one has an items. Well, almost every one. Items count. So what's its parent? Yeah, it's just nothing useful here. Maybe this thing. Is that one I've already done? I think it is. SJ GH65I0, yeah. So nothing unique about that, really. I mean, doesn't mean it's not useful. I might still use it, but it's not narrowing it down much. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's one of these here and one of these here, so it's really not. I wonder if I could just look for. No. I could just look for a div that has data pagelet attributes, even if I don't care. I'm not trying to track what the value of that is. This will be top nav end. So I'm going to try something to see if I get lucky. If these three divs, these three classes on a single div might be somewhat unusual. Three. That's at least. Wonder what the three are. What are the others? This one maybe? No. Well, let's put a border on them and see. So it's the outer box and inner box, and maybe something down here that's got videos, which we don't think we're going to care about. Is it the first one? Nope. Although it's one in the other. Maybe that gives me something useful. So it is one of these inside of one of these. First of all, let's see if that gives me only one element. Six. Sorry, I should add probably. Sorry, everything is running super slow now here. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I could use that. Oops. What if I said try get a little crazier. So it's so annoying. There's at least one. I mean, that works. So I'm just walking down, like, find this div with a data pagelet attribute. Don't check what it is because I can't be sure I'm going to get the right thing anyway. Then if that contains a div, well, really, it's if it contains this div, inside a div, inside a div, inside a div, inside a div with this class, inside a div with this attribute. I'll take it. Whatever. Annoying. Oh, that only gets me to this block. So now I have to go and look for, really, I guess it's all of the divs in there. Forgot that was only part of the way. Let's go back to this. Okay. So that's one of those divs that we'll look through. And now we want to see text align start. Yeah, I can't go off the style. That'll change. And the dir equals auto isn't unique. There's no class name on it at all. Means I got to go look higher and detect this block. Okay. This is really getting convoluted. Man, this is just nuts. So I guess another div. When it's this long and convoluted, this is when you know it's going to break soon. I'll do it again. Maybe it's this. That gets us to there, and then we're looking for div, and then second div. I'm not sure where I'm going wrong here. All right, I'm going to go debug a little bit. This going to add class first test. Yeah, that's not doing what I'm expecting. I'm not where I think I am. So it's in here somewhere. There it is. Oh, it's too deep. Oh, I see. Oh, what a pain. What a pain. Really, I need to parent to this to move forward. So I could say this is just parent dot find div eq1 span div. So we go into x dot parent. Dot parent. Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is such a. I'm down a bad path here. I should probably go back and. That should at least. No. This is not a good path. All right, here's another idea. What if I took all these class names and let's see how many divs. Should be like 30 of these or 20 of these or something. Okay, 93. So yeah, maybe it's all these blocks. Something. Let's see if I can distinguish this. Right. Get that. Right. That's more like it. Hmm. Well, it's not too bad. There's a lot of useful things in here. It's a much simpler query. It's essentially targeting the styling that's being used on this kind of these two-tier things. If I could narrow this down a little bit. I could do them as direct children. Let's see. Is that any better? Yeah. It's less junk. It's also getting new and see all and friend requests. Not sure from where. So it's getting this, I guess. Well, at least this is a more fruitful. I could even see if I get lucky and, for example, maybe not all of those have the dir equals auto attribute. Hey, that looks good. That looks good. Okay, we'll use that. That's actually going to be pretty good. Pays to keep looking, I guess, is the moral of this story. I can just write this right here. Let's say if e dot text dot contains items. So let me look at that structure again. Yeah. Then yeah, there we go. They're all in pink. See if anything else is in pink. Doesn't look like it. That's good. So the next thing on this page, all right, see, those are going to have to be hidden. So story views. What about here? Is anything here? Nope. Looks like the albums page is where you also get stories. Let's see how these are done. Oh, I need to add a comment over here too before I forget. This is profile photos page and 221 items or whatever underneath an album. Actually, I guess it's really the profile photo albums page. Can't type. And actually, I'm going to have to go soon. I got another meeting coming up, but so we'll at least take a look at this one, and just in case, it's quick and easy. We could get one more. Now they're going to be that lucky, but just in case. Well, the one way we might get lucky is because stories are new, and so they might have their own kind of thing, own CSS classes. Ooh, Interesting. Hmm. Sorry, I got a. That's not good news. Sorry about that. There was some static coming out of some speakers behind me. All right. Where was I haven't seen this CSS image data visual completion on an eye. It's kind of interesting. Doesn't mean it's not all over the place. I just haven't run into it in kind of these recent times. And so I got to be hovering for that to even, like it might not. Yeah. So this reveals a very kind of maddening complication I run into a lot. Oh no, it is there. Okay, never mind. I do run into maddening complications quite a lot. Um, Often they come from things that pop up temporarily when you hover over them. It can be difficult to see the code. You have to kind of go through some tricks to get it. But here's that 28, and it is part of this div. It's the text on this div. So just in case. Hmm, might be that lucky. Oh, close. Right? So I've got all the eyeballs. Um, is it not actually in that? Okay, it'd be the parent, I guess. Yeah. So let's turn that off. And then I'll put this on the parent. Well, at least it's, yeah, it's not really what I was hoping for. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is also just kind of annoying to do. So essentially I can track this div, which contains text and another div, as opposed to this text in an element inside the div. And that means I'm going to have to copy all of this HTML and duplicate it while extracting this. So this might be as far as I go with this one right now. Let's see, type. Let's just see what happens if I type text. Yeah, it gives me all the values. What I'll end up doing, honestly, is putting my own wrapper. I'll probably put a span around that 28. This is probably not something that's getting dynamically updated. I don't see any. That's what a lot of these like data dash somethings are. Those are markers for React to kind of know where to go to update a value if something changes in the server. So like if somebody else happened to like this story right? Or really not like, in this case, it's views. If someone happened to view this story while I was looking at this page, then it would potentially update it. But this is the story archive, so maybe it's only when a story is not live anymore. I don't use stories on Facebook very much, so I don't know exactly how they work. I think we'll leave it at this for the moment. So I will, let's see. Why can't I spell today? Did it up here too. I mean, it's a typo. Okay. Okay. So they are being captured, and I'll deal with extracting the metric later. Just so you can see where we're headed. I'll have to go through all of these and see if any metrics are appearing there. But this is what I was, this is right here. This is probably going to be the next bit that I look for. Yeah, that's probably where we'll start next time. But I think it's an hour and a half. It's probably as much as anyone could stand. Thanks to my viewer. Appreciate you being here. And this will be up on the Twitch archive for 60 days. And I'll probably pull them down and put them on my own site before they disappear. And welcome to anyone watching this in the gallery itself. Thank you for coming. And I will see you at the latest in 2 weeks, but I've kind of gotten to a groove of just doing this every week, at least for an hour or a bit more. So I will see you then.